Why does the world love to hate America? It's a question as old as, well, America itself. You can't open social media, watch the news, or even talk to someone at a cafe in Europe without hearing some snarky remark about Americans. They're too loud. They eat too much fast food. They think the world revolves around them. And yet, here's the twist. Turn around, and the same people are binge-watching Netflix shows, listening to Beyoncé, eating burgers, and wearing Yankees caps. That's the paradox of America. The world rolls its eyes at it, while secretly or not so secretly copying it. Think about it. America is everywhere. Movies, music, politics, brands, wars, TikTok dances, you name it. America's fingerprints are all over it. And because it's everywhere, people either admire it, resent it, or do both at the same time. On one hand, America gave the world jazz, hip-hop, the moon landing, and iPhones. On the other, it also gave the world reality TV, pumpkin spice lattes, and, let's be honest, a lot of wars it didn't ask for. It's the cultural equivalent of that loud neighbor who throws amazing parties but also keeps parking on your lawn. The thing is, America doesn't just exist, it dominates. It doesn't whisper, it shouts. And when you're that big, that bold, that American, people notice. Some admire it, some envy it, and some absolutely love to hate it. And yet, here's what makes this topic so fascinating. People criticize America using the very tools America invented. Someone in Paris might rant about US imperialism on Twitter, an American company. A Brit might joke about American junk food while sipping Starbucks, and countless people protest against American capitalism wearing Levi's jeans. The irony is delicious. So in this video, we're going to break it down. We'll explore 10 reasons why the world loves to hate America. From politics to pop culture to those little quirks that make Americans, well, Americans. Some reasons are serious. Some are funny. Some are straight up stereotypes. But together they explain why America manages to be the most admired, most criticized, and most talked about country on Earth. And just so we're clear, this isn't a bash America video, nor is it a love letter. It's both. Because the truth is, you can't really separate admiration from resentment when it comes to the US. They go hand in hand. So buckle up, because by the end of this, you'll understand why people complain about America at dinner parties, and then secretly watch the Super Bowl the next day. And trust me, some of the reasons we're about to uncover will make you laugh, some will make you cringe, and some might make you nod along thinking, yep, that's America. Let's get started. Global power and politics. If you ask most people outside the US why they hate America, the first answer you'll hear is politics. Not boring local politics, global politics. Because, like it or not, America doesn't just play the game. It runs the stadium, sells the tickets, and occasionally changes the rules halfway through. Think about it, the US has military bases in over 70 countries. 70. That means if you're anywhere on Earth, there's a decent chance you're closer to an American soldier than to your own cousin. For some people, that's comforting. Yay, America will protect us. For others, it feels like living with a helicopter parent who never leaves you alone. And wars, oh, America has a reputation. From Vietnam to Iraq to Afghanistan, the US has been involved in so many global conflicts that for some people, US foreign policy basically means another invasion. Even if the intention is spreading democracy, the world often hears it as, here come the Americans with tanks again. But here's the twist. The same countries that criticize America's political dominance still rely on it. NATO runs on US. Funding, international crises, the world waits for Washington's response. When a disaster happens, people complain that America acts like the world's policeman. But when America doesn't step in, people complain it's abandoning its responsibility. It's a no-win situation. And let's not forget the politics at home that spill abroad. Presidential elections in the US are practically global events. People in Germany, Japan, or South Africa will stay up all night watching CNN, popcorn in hand, as if it's the World Cup. And the debates? To outsiders, they often feel like a reality show. One minute, it's serious policy. The next minute, it's, did he really just say that on live TV? Of course, Americans themselves are split. Half the country argues passionately one way, half the other, and the rest are yelling on Twitter. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is peeking through the blinds going, are you guys okay over there? But here's where it gets ironic. For all the criticism of America's politics, people can't look away. US. Politics dominates global headlines more than almost any other countries. You probably can't name 3 Canadian prime ministers, But US presidents? Everyone knows them, memes them, and imitates their accents. So, yes, global politics is a big reason the world hates America, but it's also the reason the world obsesses over it. Because America isn't just playing on the world stage. It is the stage, the lighting, the sound system, and half the script. And if you think that's dramatic, wait until we get to culture. Because if there's one thing people complain about even more than US foreign policy, it's how America's movies, music, and brands have invaded every corner of the planet. Cultural dominance in Hollywood. If politics makes America the most argued about country, culture makes it the most unavoidable. Because no matter where you live, odds are you've eaten American food, listened to American music, or watched American movies. Whether you like it or not, you've let America into your living room, your headphones, and probably your stomach. Hollywood is the biggest culprit here. The US didn't just build a film industry, it built the film industry. From Marvel blockbusters to Disney fairy tales, American movies dominate box offices around the globe. People roll their eyes at American cultural influence, but then they line up to watch the next Spider-Man reboot. Critics complain that Hollywood is shallow and formulaic, but it still makes billions every year, even in countries that claim to hate American media. Music? Same story. Jazz, rock, hip-hop, country, pop. Most of the 20th and 21st century's most influential sounds came out of the US. Even when global stars emerge from other countries, they often make it big only once they break into the American market. And yet, despite dancing to Beyoncé, Drake, or Billie Eilish, plenty of people still love making fun of Americans for being too mainstream. Then there's food. Say what you want about McDonald's, KFC, or Starbucks, but they're everywhere. From Tokyo to Timbuktu, you can spot the golden arches. And that's exactly why people love to hate them, because American fast food chains feel like they've bulldozed local traditions. A Frenchman might rant about how McDonald's is ruining French cuisine, while eating a Big Mac on the way home. Fashion, slang, even lifestyle trends. America exports them all. Think about jeans. What started as work clothes in the US is now the most universal piece of clothing in human history. Everyone has a pair. That's cultural dominance, and it drives some people nuts. But here's the catch. For every person who mocks America's cultural takeover, there are just as many who embrace it. Hollywood films aren't just entertainment. They shape how people imagine America itself. The US sells an image of freedom, adventure, and possibility, even if the reality is more complicated. And whether it's New York in a rom-com or Los Angeles in a car chase, the rest of the world consumes those stories nonstop. Of course, cultural dominance has its downsides. The US often gets accused of being loud, over the top, and too commercial. Other countries worry their own cultures get drowned out under the weight of American exports, and in some ways, they're right. When your local cinema is showing 3 American blockbusters and 1 small local film, it's easy to feel overshadowed. Still, the paradox remains. People criticize American culture while simultaneously consuming it. It's almost like a guilty pleasure. Complain about Hollywood cliches all day, then binge watch them all night. And if you think culture is controversial, just wait until we talk about the one thing that's practically synonymous with America: money. Because when the world looks at the US, they see ambition, capitalism, and wealth, but also greed, inequality, and obsession. Money, capitalism, and consumerism. If Hollywood is America's biggest cultural export, then capitalism is its biggest lifestyle export. The US isn't just known for making money, it's known for making everything about money. And that, more than anything else, is why the world has such a love-hate relationship with America. On one hand, the American dream is legendary. The idea that anyone, no matter their background, can work hard, hustle, and make it big. It's an inspiring story. It's why millions of immigrants move there. It's why kids around the world grow up thinking about Wall Street, Silicon Valley, and skyscrapers. It's why companies like Apple, Google, and Tesla exist. America is basically the global marketing department for ambition. But here's the flip side. With all that ambition comes excess. The rest of the world watches in amazement as Americans build mansions, eat burgers the size of a steering wheel, and casually drive trucks that look like military vehicles. To some, it looks impressive. To others, it looks ridiculous. And then there's consumerism. Black Friday alone is enough to make non-Americans shake their heads. People lining up at 4 a.m., wrestling over TVs, trampling each other for discounted air fryers. It's like a national sport. To outsiders, it's shocking. To Americans, it's tradition. Even everyday life reflects this obsession with money. Credit cards, side hustles, tipping culture, everything feels tied to a dollar sign. Americans openly talk about their salaries, their mortgage, their investments. In some cultures, that's considered bragging or downright rude. In the US, it's Tuesday. Of course, capitalism also makes America powerful. It's the reason US. Brands are everywhere. Coca-Cola, Nike, Amazon. These aren't just companies, they're cultural symbols. For better or worse, they shape how people live. And while people complain about American consumer culture, they still wear sneakers, order packages, and sip the sodas. But capitalism also fuels resentment. Other countries point to America's wealth inequality, its obsession with billionaires, and its healthcare system, where a Band-Aid can cost as much as a weekend vacation in Europe. To many, the US represents both the dream and the nightmare of money-driven society. And yet, here's the twist. America's money obsession is also contagious. Hustle culture? That's global now. Influencers in London, Tokyo, and Dubai are talking about grind sets and side gigs using language that came straight out of the US. People criticize American capitalism while simultaneously adopting it. So yes, the world loves to hate America's consumerism. But secretly, a lot of people copy it. They'll make fun of Black Friday videos online, then hit their own malls for Boxing Day sales the next month. Still, if you think money gets people heated, wait until we touch on the other big stick America is known for. Its military power. Because nothing stirs both admiration and resentment, quite like the world's most expensive army. Military power and world police image. Say what you will about America, but one thing's undeniable. Nobody has a military quite like the United States. The US spends more on defense than the next several countries combined. Tanks, jets, aircraft carriers. It's like America looked at the world and said, yeah, we'll take the deluxe package. And here's the thing. Power like that doesn't go unnoticed. For some countries, America's military is a safety net. Allies see U.S. bases, aircraft carriers, and NATO funding as protection against bigger threats. To them, America's presence is reassuring, like having a giant security guard standing outside your house. But to others, that same presence feels suffocating. Because when America flexes its military muscle, it often does it everywhere. From Korea to the Middle East, the U.S. has been involved in so many conflicts that some people see it less as defender of freedom and more as the world's most heavily armed nosy neighbor. And then there's the nickname, the world's policeman. Sounds noble until you realize most people don't actually like police hovering around. Some countries resent that America decides when to intervene and when not to. If the U.S. steps in, it's called interference. If the U.S. stays out, it's called neglect. Either way, somebody's upset. Wars like Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan shaped this perception. Critics argue that America gets involved in places it doesn't understand, leaving chaos behind. Supporters argue that without the USC, dictators and terrorists would run wild. And in the middle, a world that watches every move America makes with a mix of fear, admiration, and frustration. But here's the irony. While people complain about U.S. military dominance, many rely on it. Countries that criticize America's presence often breathe a sigh of relief knowing that presence exists. It's like complaining about your boss, annoying, overbearing, but you know you still need the paycheck. The military image also bleeds into pop culture. Hollywood movies often portray American soldiers as heroes saving the world, whether it's Top Gun, Saving Private Ryan, or even Marvel superheroes. Let's be honest, half of them are basically military propaganda with capes. This fuels the stereotype that America sees itself as the main character in every global story. And let's be real, sometimes it does. So yes, America's military might makes it respected, but it also makes it resented. Because nobody likes feeling overshadowed, especially by someone with 1,000 fighter jets parked in their backyard. And if you think the military image is divisive, just wait until we talk about another massive export of American identity: food. From McDonald's to giant soda cups, American eating habits might be the world's most mocked stereotype, and also the most imitated. Fast food, obesity, and supersize culture. If Hollywood sells America's image, then McDonald's sells its appetite. Nothing screams USA louder than fast food. The golden arches, the buckets of fried chicken, the extra-large sodas, you can find them in almost every country on Earth. And that's exactly why people love to mock it. For much of the world, American food culture, fast food culture. Burgers, fries, milkshakes, pizza by the slice, hot dogs the size of your arm. In other countries, eating fast food is an occasional treat. In the US, it can feel like a daily routine. Drive-thrus for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And yes, outsiders notice. Obesity is one of America's biggest global punchlines. Foreign media often highlights how supersized portions have become. Where else can you order a soda so big it deserves its own zip code? Or get free refills until you've consumed more liquid than a small swimming pool? And it's not just the size, it's the speed. The idea that you can pull up to a window, shout your order into a speaker, and drive away with a full meal in 60 seconds blows some people's minds. In France, lunch is 2 hours long. In Japan, food is served like art. In the US, yeah, I'll take a double bacon cheeseburger, hold the lettuce. Done. Of course, this fast food dominance is why American chains are everywhere. McDonald's in China, KFC in Nigeria, Starbucks in Italy, which to Italians is basically a crime. These chains spark protests, boycotts, and endless debates about cultural imperialism. But here's the twist. People still eat there. Because for all the complaints about fast food, it's cheap, it's tasty, and it's convenient. And that's why it works. But the stereotype doesn't stop at food. It extends to lifestyle. Americans are seen as people who want everything bigger, faster, and easier. Big cars, big houses, big meals. The idea of supersizing became so iconic that it's now global slang. And it's one of the reasons people shake their heads at America while secretly enjoying their own McNuggets. Still, it's not all junk food and sugar. America also gave the world barbecue, Tex-Mex, Cajun, soul food, things people genuinely love. But let's be honest, the fast food chains are what define the stereotype. So yes, America's eating habits make it a global punchline, but they also make it influential. Because while people criticize, they also copy. Whether it's a Starbucks latte in Paris or a Domino's pizza in Mumbai, the world is eating American, even while joking about it. And if you think food is a controversial topic, just wait until we touch on another stereotype people love to roast. American arrogance and we're number one culture. Arrogance, loudness, and we're number one attitude. If there's one American stereotype the world never gets tired of mocking, it's this. Americans are loud, proud, and absolutely convinced they're the best at everything. Whether it's sports, politics, or just ordering a sandwich, the rest of the world sees Americans as walking megaphones with a permanent USA, USA chant in the background. Now, to be fair, some of this reputation is earned. Americans really do talk louder on average. Put an American tourist in a quiet European cafe, and suddenly the whole room knows about their hotel check-in and their plans for tomorrow. To outsiders, it feels like Americans were born with volume knobs permanently set to maximum. Then there's the confidence. Americans introduce themselves like they're headlining a show. Hi, I'm John. Nice to meet you. I'm a software engineer, I play guitar, and I just came back from Costa Rica. A Brit, by contrast, might just mumble, yeah, I'm John. No follow-up. No résumé. Done. Sports make the arrogant stereotype even bigger. Americans call their baseball championship the World Series, despite the fact only American and a handful of Canadian teams play. Same with American football. It's literally only played in the U.S., but the winners call themselves world champions. You can see why people outside the States roll their eyes. And don't even get started on geography. There's a stereotype, fair or unfair, that Americans don't know much about the rest of the world. Late-night TV loves quizzing random Americans on where countries are, and the clips go viral. Is it exaggerated? Probably, but the stereotype sticks. Americans are so focused on themselves, they sometimes forget there's a whole planet out there. Here's the twist, though. What outsiders see as arrogance, Americans often see as optimism. The loudness? That's enthusiasm. The bragging? That's confidence. The we're number one chance? That's national pride. To Americans, it's not arrogance. It's just being positive. And the irony? That attitude is contagious. People criticize it, but they also admire it. Because confidence can be inspiring. In some cultures, humility means never talking about yourself. In America, confidence means selling yourself like a brand. And in a world where self-promotion is key, hello Instagram, maybe the Americans were onto something all along. So yes, the loud and proud stereotype makes people roll their eyes. But it also makes America magnetic. You may cringe when you hear America is the greatest country in the world. But deep down, you can't ignore it. And that mix of admiration and annoyance is exactly what keeps the love-to-hate cycle alive. And if you think arrogance gets under people's skin, just wait until we talk about another massive export: technology and social media. Because nothing shapes the modern world more, and nothing fuels global resentment faster than American tech companies running the internet. Technology, social media, and internet influence. If Hollywood conquered the 20th century, Silicon Valley conquered the 21st. America doesn't just make movies, it makes the platforms you watch them on. Facebook, Twitter, or X if you want to sound futuristic. Instagram, YouTube, Netflix, TikTok's US version, Google, Apple. The list is endless. If you're scrolling right now, odds are an American company made it possible. And that's exactly why people love to hate it. On one hand, US. Tech makes life ridiculously convenient. You can FaceTime someone in another hemisphere, order dinner with a tap, or run a business from your laptop in a coffee shop. That's American innovation at its finest. On the other hand, people blame these same companies for everything wrong with modern life. Social media addiction? Blame Silicon Valley. Fake news? Blame Facebook. Data privacy scandals? Definitely America's fault. It's like America built the playground, handed out the toys, and then got sued when kids fell off the swings. Take Netflix, for example. Everyone binges American shows, from Stranger Things to Wednesday. But at the same time, people complain that Hollywood is smothering local industries. French directors grumble. Indian producers push back. But let's be real. Everyone still renews their subscriptions. Or look at Apple. People love to complain about overpriced iPhones, but then they line up around the block to buy the new one. In fact, nothing illustrates the love-to-hate dynamic more perfectly than tech. Criticize it publicly, but use it every day. Then there's the influence on culture. Thanks to social media, American slang, memes, and politics spread globally in minutes. A teenager in Brazil is using the same TikTok sounds as a kid in Kansas. A protest in Hong Kong can trend worldwide because of Twitter. American platforms turned the world into one giant group chat, chaotic, messy, and impossible to log out of. Of course, this dominance also makes America an easy target. When a platform misbehaves, it's America's fault, even if the users are worldwide. If YouTube demonetizes a channel in Germany, blame America. If Facebook leaks data in Spain, blame America. Silicon Valley is like the landlord of the internet. Everyone lives there, but everyone complains about the rent. And yet, here's the twist. Other countries are racing to copy it. China has WeChat and TikTok. Europe pushes new regulations. But the blueprint? Still American. And whether people like it or not, the US set the rules of the digital game. So yes, America's tech empire makes it both admired and resented. People don't just consume US apps, they live inside them. And that level of influence is bound to spark backlash. But if you think tech is controversial, just wait until we talk about America's role in values and morality. Because nothing divides opinions faster than America telling the world what's right and wrong. Values, morality, and hypocrisy. Here's one of the most fascinating things about America. It constantly tells the world what it stands for. Freedom, democracy, equality, justice. These words are practically tattooed on the country's forehead. Every U.S. president's speech, every Hollywood script, every patriotic anthem, it's all about values. And to be fair, America has done a lot to push these ideals globally. The civil rights movement inspired activists worldwide. The American Constitution influenced countless democracies. The idea of free speech, individual rights, and personal freedom? Those are values many people admire deeply about the U.S. But here's the problem. The world also sees the cracks. For every time America says, we stand for equality, people point to racism, inequality, or broken systems back home. For every time it says, we defend democracy, people bring up wars or coups it supported abroad. That gap between ideals and reality is where the hypocrisy label comes in. Take freedom of speech. Americans love to brag about the First Amendment, and rightly so. But when outsiders see Americans screaming at each other on cable news or spreading conspiracy theories online, they wonder if too much freedom just turns into chaos. Or look at democracy. The U.S. tells the world it protects democracy, but then the rest of the world sees partisan gridlock, low voter turnout, and political scandals. From the outside, it looks messy. From the inside, Americans argue it's just freedom in action. Even morality gets politicized. America tells other countries how to behave, don't censor the press, don't oppress minorities, don't limit freedoms. Yet when America struggles with those same issues at home, the world jumps on it instantly. It's like the U.S. is the friend who always lectures you about eating healthy, while secretly eating pizza at midnight. This is why the world both admires and resents American values. They're aspirational, but they're also imperfect. People want to believe in them, but they also love pointing out when America falls short. And the funniest part? America's contradictions are often exported too. Hollywood films preach about justice while glorifying violence. Social media spreads messages of unity while dividing people. American politicians talk about humility while reminding everyone that the U.S. is the greatest nation on earth. But here's the twist. Even with all the hypocrisy, the values themselves are powerful. Freedom, equality, opportunity, those ideas resonate everywhere. People may mock America for not always living up to them, but they also secretly hope their own countries will. So yes, America's values make it both admired and mocked. And that love-hate tension only deepens when we move into another stereotype the world can't resist laughing at. American ignorance about the rest of the world. Ignorance, stereotypes, and world revolves around us. Attitude. If there's one thing the world loves to roast Americans for, it's geography. You've seen the clips. A TV host asks someone to point out France on a map, and the poor soul hovers their finger somewhere near Brazil. Cue the laughter, cue the stereotype. Americans don't know anything about the world outside their borders. Now, is it exaggerated? Absolutely. But the stereotype sticks because it feeds into another global perception, that Americans think the world revolves around them. And to be fair, sometimes it does. With Hollywood, Wall Street, Silicon Valley, and the world's most powerful military, America is everywhere. And when you're everywhere, it's easy to forget other people exist. Take sports. Americans call their baseball finals the World Series, except the world is basically just the US and a team or two from Canada. Same with American football. The winners proudly call themselves world champions, even though no one outside the States actually plays the game. To outsiders, it looks absurdly self-centered. To Americans, it's just normal, or language. Many Americans assume everyone speaks English, and to be fair, many people do, but not always American English. When an American tourist yells bathroom, in Italy, locals are left scratching their heads until someone translates it into toilet. The assumption that American culture is universal fuels the ignorant tourist stereotype. Education also plays a role. The U.S. school system is famously U.S.-centric. Kids learn a lot about their own history, Revolutionary War, Civil War, Founding Fathers, but far less about, say, African empires, Asian dynasties, or European history beyond World War II. So Americans grow up deeply informed about their own country, but sometimes shockingly uninformed about others. Outsiders see that gap and call it arrogance. But here's the twist. While people love to mock Americans for being ignorant, they also envy their confidence. An American can walk into a foreign city with no clue about the language, geography, or customs, and still act like they own the place. It drives people crazy, but it's also kind of impressive. That confidence, even when based on shaky knowledge, can open doors. And not every American is clueless, of course. Millions travel, study abroad, and engage deeply with global issues. But the stereotype persists because it's entertaining, and because America's cultural dominance means its mistakes get broadcast louder than anyone else's. When a random German can't find Ohio on a map, nobody cares. When an American can't find Germany, it's a viral meme. So yes, the ignorant American trope is overblown, but it sticks because it fits into the larger narrative. America as the loud, confident, slightly self-absorbed main character of global life. And if you think that stereotype stings, wait until we hit the final reason the world loves to hate America: its sheer influence on global pop culture. Because love it or hate it, America has turned its quirks, flaws, and strengths into the world's entertainment. Pop culture, memes, and why. America is the world's favorite soap opera. Here's the thing, America isn't just a country, it's a show. And the rest of the world can't stop watching. From Hollywood blockbusters to reality TV, American culture has turned into global entertainment. People complain about it, sure, but they also binge watch it, tweet about it, and meme it into oblivion. In many ways, America has become the world's longest-running soap opera. Think about reality TV. Shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians or The Real Housewives get mocked internationally for being shallow, flashy, and over the top. And yet, people everywhere tune in. They may hate watch, they may roll their eyes, but they watch. The Kardashians alone are like global ambassadors of American excess, representing everything people say they hate, and everything they secretly find addictive. Or politics, US. Elections aren't just elections, they're spectacles. Debates go viral, campaign rallies feel like rock concerts, and scandals play out like Netflix dramas. The whole world watches, memes it, and argues about it online. Other countries hold elections too, but few feel as cinematic or as meme-worthy as America's. Music is no different. American pop stars dominate charts worldwide. Beyoncé, Taylor Swift, Drake, Kanye, love them or hate them, you know them. Even if you don't listen to their music, you've seen their headlines. That's America's cultural power, turning individuals into global icons. And of course, sports. Americans created an entire cultural spectacle around the Super Bowl, an event watched by millions outside the US, even if they don't understand the rules of football. People tune in just for the halftime show and the commercials. Only America could turn advertising into primetime entertainment. But perhaps the most telling sign of America's pop culture dominance is memes. So many internet jokes, viral videos, and cultural references come from the USA phrase someone says on TikTok in Los Angeles ends up being repeated by a teenager in Lagos or London the next day. Even when people laugh at America, they're still laughing with America because the content spreads everywhere. This is why America is so easy to love and hate at the same time. The world gets tired of American culture, but it can't quit it. It's like junk food for the brain. Loud, cheesy, and a little too much, but irresistible all the same. So yes, America often feels like the star of a never-ending reality show, one where the rest of the world is both the audience and the reluctant supporting cast. People complain about the drama, but let's be real, they'd miss it if it were gone. And that brings us to the final act, tying it all together. Because after politics, fast food, arrogance, tech, and memes, the big question remains, why does the world really love to hate America? So, after all this, why does the world really love to hate America? It's because America is everywhere. It's in your cinema, your phone, your dinner plate, your politics, and even your slang. You can't escape it, even if you wanted to. And when something is that big, that loud, and that influential, people are naturally going to push back. The world mocks American politics for being messy, but also stays up all night watching the election like it's a Netflix binge. The world criticizes Hollywood for being shallow, but then rushes to see the next Marvel release. People laugh at giant burgers and supersized sodas, but still eat at McDonald's when they're hungry at midnight. America is like that friend you complain about constantly, but deep down, you know the party wouldn't be the same without them. And that's the paradox. America represents things people love: freedom, ambition, culture, technology, entertainment. But it also represents things people resent: arrogance, consumerism, hypocrisy, global meddling. It's both admired and mocked, envied and criticized, hated and copied. The truth is, people don't really hate America. They hate how much they can't ignore it. They hate how much it influences their daily lives. They hate how much it dominates the global stage, but secretly, they love it too. They love the movies, the music, the memes, the food, even the drama. And maybe that's why America is so unique. It's not just a country, it's an idea, an image, a brand, a spectacle. It's a source of inspiration and irritation all rolled into one. So next time you hear someone say, "Ugh, I can't stand America," check their Spotify playlist, their Netflix history, or their closet full of Levi's jeans. Chances are America is right there in the background. At the end of the day, America is like the main character of the world. Loud, flawed, dramatic, but impossible to ignore. And whether you cheer or boo, you're still watching the show. So what do you think? Does the world really hate America, or does it just hate how much it secretly loves it? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Because as much as the world complains about American culture, you're here, watching this video in English on YouTube, an American platform. And that, my friends, says it all.